legends with me today. I have with me Gene Decode and Indigo Angel. And the last podcast we did together, I mean, it got like 9,000 views on Rumble. So people really like the information they had to say. Gene Decode talks about everything like Black Ops, deep underground military bases. He's a veteran. He's a martial arts master. And Indigo Angel is a star seed. She's an author. She's a student of Ashiana Dean. She's many things, and she's a matrix decoder. They're both matrix decoders. And I don't know if that was enough. If you kind of want to take over from there, Indy, like,
Yeah, no, I think that was really good. I think the only thing you just didn't include was how amazing you are as well, and how you're a matrix decoder and how you're kind of like the fabric of our community, and you're really holding that together, I think, for so many people and just really being a guiding light and bringing a lot of people together that I don't think would always come together. You're kind of like the glue, you're the network of all of this. So you're also amazing, Rob, and I have so much love for you. I have so much love for Jean. I'm so excited to be doing this show. And I have so much love for everybody watching today. Um, it's kind of, the beginning of December, so we're coming into a new month. And but I think we've had some things come up recently, right? I mean, we've had the passing of James Rink, and this has kind of impacted the community so suddenly. And so I think kind of to just get started, me and Rob kind of had a discussion before coming in, Gene, and we wanted to kind of, see if you heard about that and, what is your, take on our whole community at this time, just really struggling with health and
Yeah,
um,
so yes. By the way, on my Rumble, our last interview has 13,700 views.
wow, wow.
wow,
Mm. And
that's amazing.
I have done two presentations, interviews, so to speak, with James Rink. One, I think about a few months before the end of last year, and then I did one a couple years before that. He's such a kind and good person. And from my understanding, he had invited Dr. Sala to a conference he set up, and he was targeted with one of the CIA kind of weapons that is a gun that causes a heart attack. They shoot you with an energy, and later on you get a heart attack. So that's, from my
Mm.
understanding, what happened to James Rink. For me, it's three people that I knew fairly well have passed in the last 2 weeks on to the next level of things off the earth. So a person that did some help with the internet and stuff, things setting up our envisioning project a couple of years ago. Uh, Her name was Lynn, and she was White Light Media, and she passed. And then a gentleman that was very, very kind, another really kind and really brilliant man. You wouldn't know him, but he emailed me all the time, and he passed also. So, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people checking out now. It's
Yeah.
that time due to the shedding and all that. Like I talked on quite a few interviews now, that for those people, if you're not doing protocols, you need to be, because even if you didn't get the jab, the exposure, the super shedders now is so pronounced that if you're not getting a protocol, it's gonna take you out sooner or later. That's my look on it. You know,
Gene, I got a question about that. Like when you say protocols, what should everybody be doing now? What about, I don't think any of us here are jabbed, but like, say there's people watching this in the community that made the mistake and they did get jabbed. Like, is there anything those people can do? And then what do we do to the people who haven't gotten jabbed? Like, what kind of protocols do you mean? Because I think that's important, you
And
know?
and hey Rob, can I chime in really quick just before we go down this road?
Sure.
Because I feel like this is going to be really information packed and a lot of people are wanting to know that. But I just wanted to kind of I haven't had an opportunity myself to personally just like give any condolences to like James Rake's family and just like all his closest friends and all of the people who have been connected to him. I just, wanted to say like rest in peace. Like we just, everyone had so much love for James Rink. And I think, like Jane said, he was just such a like kind-hearted person. And I kind of wanted to like stick up for him a little bit because some of the things I have been seeing on social media and just, all over the place, sprinkled here and there, is just people kind of exploiting this situation a little bit. People kind of, taking the opportunity to use this as an example or, say that he didn't do enough. He could have stopped this from happening if he had just done this or done that. And I just kind of want to say that, everyone can kind of assume that they think that they would have known would have been the best thing for him. But at the end of the day, he knew his body. He was being guided by Source and by God and by the universe and what his divine plan was. And it's not for anybody to really judge that. It was his relationship that he had with himself and with his body to make the choices he needed to make. And that I just, I only say this because I don't like seeing negative things stir up after someone passes.
Either.
I think we all kind of have a little bit of PTSD from like the whole Charlie Kirk thing in some ways.
Well, it's really like when people talk about people when they're dead, it's really tasteless. You know what I mean? It's very uncouth. It's not. And I'll just tell you honestly, like this whole thing has got me devastated. That's why I think I was late today. I mean, I don't like to blame things. I don't like to, I take full responsibility for whatever. But like, no, this thing has got me devastated and honestly a little bit scared too because like Renetta Jones was earlier this year and it seems like she was getting targeted really bad. James now and her and James were friends, you know what I mean? And I same thing, same condolences to James's dad. I talked to my friend Lindsay Hooper. She's been in the community a while. She's was friends with like Laura Eisenhower and stuff. I talked to her yesterday. She talked to James's dad and James's dad said, I think they're cremating him today. And then for people that live around the North Carolina area, I think James's dad said that they're going to have a memorial service in a couple weeks, and anybody that wants to go can actually go, I think. And I'm going to get more information off, from it. That was the message that I got, so far. And yeah, it was just
Yeah.
a lot of people are really, 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 really devastated. I
Yeah.
think I did like 6 or 7 podcasts with James. You know what I mean? Like combined podcasts and then singles and all the others, and then group podcasts and stuff like that. And I kind of looked at James like an older brother, and then I found out we were the same age. You know what I mean? But like because he had been in this so much longer than me. You know what I mean? He was around during the Max Spears days when Max Spears and James Casbolt were around. James
Yeah.
Reed was like the first one to start a YouTube channel that covered super soldiers, besides Kerry Cassidy. You know what I mean? Like Kerry Cassidy did that too, but like, James was like the first to call it super soldier talk and basically be strictly focused on super soldiers, and like genetic enhancements and cloning and, the whole spiel that comes with it. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, just mad respect to his family and all the
Yeah.
friends, and it's a scary time right now, it
Yeah.
really is. It's a really scary
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to send prayers to his family for this time and to those people that are besmirching him or, saying these kind of things. You're piecing out your soul if you still have one by not respecting somebody's legacy. Same thing I had happen with Charlie Kirk. I did a prayer call during one of my presentations. And then people, there's lots of incongruities with it. And then I said, I'm going to respect his legacy. I don't care what all of that says. I know what Derek Johnson says. I know this. I know that. I realize this. It may or may not be. I'm respecting the person's legacy because they did a good job. They were a good person. Same thing goes with James Rink. Kirsten Wong, lost her a long time ago. Same thing after she was gone. People were saying things. And I'm just like, why can't you be respectful to the people for what they brought to the earth, the good things
Yeah.
they brought to the earth, and just let the rest go? It shows a demonic presence in a person to me when you have to do that. There's something wrong with you that you can't take the good in a person that has obviously done good. I mean, I can understand if it was like McCain or recently we had the other guy that actually had a tunnel to L.A. In Vegas. Maglev's hooked up underneath his house. Dick Cheney.
Oh, yeah.
He was I don't, there's nothing there for me to respect unless you're a deep state person and respect his legacy of horrific evil that he did. But, for the good people of this earth that did good things and helped the world wake up to things, why can't you take the good and let the rest lie? And instead of trying to bury the person's with this and that and their family and members and all this. And yeah, I know all the family connections with Kirk. I've researched the heck out of it. I really, there's so much going on in the world right now that's so much more important that, I mean, there is so much happening. I have a weekly news, two bi-weeklies that alternate. So I do newscasts every week on Wednesday and Thursday alternatively on my website. I can't begin to cover it all in an hour. I try, but you can't possibly, even if you just talk to about it for a minute or two, which is what I do. Each topic's about 2 minutes long. I can't, in 2 minutes long and 30 topics is not enough. So, I mean, if that's all you have to do with your time, there's some of attacking other people, something is
Yeah.
wrong with you. And we know what timeline you're going to by doing that, because you're going to wind up on Armageddon line. That's an absolute. You go where you resonate, as you know, Indy. You're all about resonation and frequency. You know quite well how that works, as do I, having done a career and have a lot of electronics and frequency knowledge from my career. You resonate with something, then that's actually how the TR3s can go through solid rock as they change their resonant structure and how they open up. That's all about resonation. As Tesla said, everything's about frequency. So think about the frequency of what you do and how that changes you. You're 87% water. Look at the work of the Japanese man that talked about how frequency changes water, and he put kanji on the bottles of water, and it changed the structure of the water. And they've now shown where you can even just lay an item, like you can put the flower of life on top of water and then freeze it into a crystal, and you'll see the flower of life in the water crystal.
Yeah.
So when you're trashing somebody who left the earth, think of what it's doing to you and what legacy you're leaving behind. So I think he left a wonderful legacy, and I pray for his family
Yeah.
and all those that he left behind. Such a fine man that put out so much excellent information and an example for all of us. So thank you, Andy. You're very well spoken.
Yeah, very well said to you as well. And just to kind of go off that too, I think what I've realized, because I've had kind of a scary health thing happen recently as well. I've talked about it on my channel. I just put an update out, really going into detail about it with everyone. And I just want to say thank you, because I had such a pouring out of love, like so many amazing responses of people just being like so kind and supportive, and some donations came in and everything. So I just, really want to say thank you. Like it's all really appreciated. But what I've kind of come to realize is everybody has their own relationship with death. Like as they're going through that process, or as they're nearing that, or as they're getting closer to it, it seems like such a scary thing. But really what's happening is that person is like accepting their tying up loose ends. They're in a way they're being kind of prepared for that journey, and whatever their connections are spiritually, like whether the angels or God source, whatever, like how they're you know receiving their messages, their soul is ultimately being prepared for that. Like I've kind of truly come to believe that even though there are people that depart suddenly and in ways that seem like very shocking, like Charlie Kirk, like he was just kind of taken and it was like, oh my gosh. But when I go back and listen to some of these interviews with Erica Kirk, she's saying like, he would wake up every morning, a lot of mornings, and have these like talk about dreams he's had about like his death and how he was going to die. So I feel like in some ways you are being prepared, whether it's like super subliminally or subconsciously through the dream space, or whether it's, in the waking state and it's just more apparent, like you're more apparent that your body's breaking down and you're being kind of like directed in a way in your life to start like preparing for certain things. But I think ultimately death is a sacred process for each and every single person, just as much as their life is. And I think so many of us feel like we have to mourn when someone dies, and that's a form of paying respects. But I also think, like Jean kind of mentioned, like honoring and celebrating their lives, like it's really just, how you kind of go about it, but it's not really tragic. Every soul comes in for a certain reason and a purpose and what they're meant to achieve here. And when they achieve that, when their time is up and when they're ready to move on, that's when it is. And for some of us, it's really young. For some of us, it's really old. And, people are really holding on to this life. I think there was a guy who crawled out of a cave who was like 176 years old, but like so rare. But our lifespans are getting shortened basically because of the oxygen and all the chemicals and pollute. We would be living much longer lives. I'm sure you got some stuff on that, Gene. I can already feel it like coming through. Like you're like thinking in the back of your head, like, where are you gonna come in with this? But um, yeah, so it and I want to also address this like final destination thing that I feel like is happening with you, Rob. Like I know you had been to like a conference or something with him and some other people, and you feel like it was
No,
Renetta.
we did a show together. It was me, Renetta, and James, and we were all supposed to do a we were all supposed to do a like a we were all supposed to do a tour together. It was going to be Renetta Jones, James Rink, me, Brad Olson, Missy was going to be there, Missy Hill, who there was Linda Uwadia, who was friends with Renetta, and okay, so like. And now it's crazy that two of those people that were on that flyer are dead, and a lot of other people on the flyer have had health problems or,
Yeah,
like, and it's just weird. I don't know, and
yeah,
I'm worried about the targeting, you know what I mean? I really am because I saw what happened to Renetta. Now I saw what happened to James, and it's really something to be worried about, especially if you're in,
yeah.
what we do, because obviously then, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I kind of was making light of it earlier, like with the final destination thing, like death is
Yeah.
coming, like death has marked each person and now it's like rolling out or something. I don't think that's what's happening, but I definitely agree. Like there is some concern with these directed energy weapons and going to these events, and I just don't know if this is the time to do it with like the state of the world. Like it might just be time to like hang back for a year and not put on these big events because there is so much targeting and um what do you guys think about that? Do you think that now's the time to kind of hang back and not be doing events right now and just kind of like play this out a little bit?
Yeah, personally, I was told by God not to go to them in the first place, ever. Get myself out in public. I'm going to be, at the time, it seemed ludicrous because I never thought I'd be world known. And I thought, he said, you're going to be world known and you're going to be targeted and they're going to take you out. And I'm like, I'm going to be world known. It still doesn't seem real to me. But I don't think it's a wise time. Also, due to the shedding, it doesn't matter if you got the clot shot or not. The shedding takes you into the same realm. And I can share that later. But also on the fear of death for one that died for half an hour and came back, there's nothing to fear if you know what to do. That's the first thing. Don't go into the light.
Mm.
Go the other way and go outside the Milky Way and look down on it immediately and get out of the soul traps. So and then go to home.
So wait, Gene, I got to ask you about this. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. So you're a firm believer in the soul trap then, because I kind of believe it as well. And like like Courtney Brown from the Foresight Institute kind of remote viewed it, and like other people kind of have to. Do you think it's definitely like it's
Not
yeah.
something I believe, it's something I absolutely know. When I came back, I can see it. And I've always seen it. When I was young and I get up camping on backpacks up at 12, 13,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains, like up in Montana and Wyoming, where the air is very crisp and clear. And people would, guys, friends of mine backpacking with, I go show them. I look up in the sky at night and you can see a grid. They go, what is that? I've never noticed it. Yeah, you don't see it in cities. But if you're at high altitudes and you're open-minded and you're relaxed state, you can see it. And that's part of the soul trap. And they go, the what? And so I've always known it was there even before, I woke, as they say, got red pilled, whatever, back in 1990. But in 92, when I died for half an hour and was coming back, when I immediately was outside the Milky Way looking down from 1 minute out of my eyes to the other, that minute, and that 30 minutes I was dead, it was eons with God talking, and he told me all about that stuff and all about how it works in our solar system, first with Saturn and its rings and the Mimas and uh, the other moon of, I can't remember it right now, and then our moon and how it captures the souls, presenting the light or the golden stairway, and you're welcomed by your loved ones or Christ, and it's all holographic. And then you get this real, you're taken into Jabalon or some holographic situation that seems real in the other, 40 and 5D above, but it's negative 4D. And then you're tortured and you live lifetimes that you're not even corporeal, but you think you are, and you can create these animosities with other souls, so that when you incarnate on Earth, then you have an automatic, I don't like that person, I don't like that person because I don't know, but I don't feel I can trust them, I feel they're bad when they might not be. It's something you're remembering from a life that didn't even happen. So, afterlife and all that, I've gone all over the world and found things. I've left or knew where they were and showed people even who were from those countries, like in Turkey. There was a tunnel they didn't know. They knew it existed. They didn't know where it was in Ephesus, and I showed them the tunnel. And they're like, how could you possibly know that? We didn't know where that. Nobody knew. I know where it is. How? Well, I was a long time ago a high-level government official in the Roman Empire, and at that time it was in Ephesus, was the capital of the Roman Empire at that time. And so I knew where that was because all the senators and everything would use that at night. It went from the library to the bordello. And they'd say they studied law all the time, all night long. They were seeing ladies of the evening, so nothing ever changes. But, having those memories and knowing what happens when you pass, and actually being able to see people who have passed on, like in Sixth Sense, I see dead people. Yeah. And I talked to my mom after she left for a while until she, went into her next life too. And then she visited me in her sleeping state when she was 8 years old in that life, in my life still here, and said, it's exactly what you said. I had remote viewed what her next life would be, and she asked me because she was afraid. I said, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's about as dramatic as going in and putting on new perfume and some new lipstick and eyeliner. It's not much more than a new pair of clothes, set of dress or something. And she came and she said it wasn't even that traumatic for her when she passed and went into her next life. It was smooth as heck. So it depends on the person, of course, what the transition is. And that depends on what frequencies you embody through life. James, I'm sure, if he were to, I don't think he will. I think he's going to hire job now off of corporeal, but he may decide to come back. It's up to him, of course. And of course, they tell you that in the soul trap too, but It's a different thing. So the thing is not go in the light, and know that death is just a transition between this life and another one, or this life and ascension. And
it's interesting that you say that, because when I went through my surgery that I had, I felt like I had a moment where I was not in my body, and I was with God. I felt like I was in the white light. I was in a white room with white walls, and I was connecting with God, and it was pure love. And
that could be.
in the moment, I didn't even think trap, or I didn't even think that this couldn't be a real experience. So I'm just wondering, how do you navigate something like that when you're going through something so vulnerable, such as leaving the body?
So
Like that's
when you're talking and you're out in the cosmos with God, everything's love. It's pure love, but there's no draw on you. It doesn't pull you. It doesn't reach out and want, like you go into the light. It feels like love, but a little bit different. But, after knowing God directly like that, it's a little bit different. Because when I came back, I saw one of the entrances, and I could feel that frequency coming out of it. And it's a bit different. It's a fake kind of thing. It's like a LED light compared to a full spectrum, light I have in my aquarium, for example. There's a different light to it. and then God doesn't draw you. There's no pull on you. It's all about choice, and you choose, and nobody comes and you got to do this, or you choose this, or yeah, God gets with you. What would you like to do next? We have a whole lot of things lined up that would be a good idea. It's up to you though. And so I choose to come back. And he said, what I've said in many of my presentations before on that, and it's all up to the individual. So there's no draw. I mean, I was immediately heading towards the center of the universe, where the central sun that all the galaxies rotate around, but it wasn't drawing me. I was just going. It's just like it's an automatic for souls that are going through ascension. They go through into a temple of higher learning usually and get gifted for their next job, and in the upper levels, if you want to call them the heavens or whatever you want to call it. But outside of this 4% of fallen galaxies, the 96% of good service to God planets, galaxies, I mean, it's all love. It's all kindness. It's all compassion. There's no backstabbing. There's no disrespect. In fact, there's no even ways to express some of the things that we have on Earth that are so decrepit and disgusting, because they don't think that way. And they've never thought, in certain parts in the green octant, they've never even thought of having those ideas, like harming a young one of a species in any way. They're a gift from God. So it's in something that can't even be contemplated over there. But in here, it's, down here in the pit, it's pretty much, actually quite normal. And I've been studying some things from the Quran, and I know the original books were broken up into the three major religions, but the Quran was rewritten. Muhammad was attacked by an angel, and his primary wife, not his first wife, but his primary wife, said it was a good angel. It was actually a fallen angel, and told him to rewrite the Quran. And so in the Quran, it says that Allah is the great deceiver. Well, guess what? Who the great deceiver is in the Bible? So what God are they praying to many, many times a day? And it does, for me, explain Sharia law and all of that, what they do to women and what they do to people who are not Islamic and all of that, and their views on all of that. It's very, very aggressive and disrespectful to others. So in my understanding of it, I could be off, but from my studies and what I've seen and how I've seen it expanding around the world in my lifetime, it is very, very aggressive and very, very, it is literally incredibly disrespectful to women.
Would you say it's satanic then, Gene? Do you think they're
I think that's what they're worshiping, yes. And I think a whole lot of it is in that area. Because if you're treating a whole half of your species with that kind of treatment, look at the scientists like Madame Curie and all of these, and other scientists before that had to go through their husbands, and we'll never even know their names, and their husbands get the laudings for what they brought forward, because a woman couldn't have that position before. They wouldn't even be able to put out the theories and the knowledge and the inventions and all of these things. And I feel we're hopefully getting out of that kind of thing now, where women are treated at least equal to men, because we're all created uniquely, but equal in the eyes of God. We're all love and infinite beings, and we all have our certain giftings and certain things we're here for. And not everybody's equal in every way. You're equal as a being in the creation of God, in the eye of God. So to look at the way that I know when I went to Tunis on the ship in the Med on one of my submarines, and we pulled in, it was horrific what I saw. And then my mother actually was an instructor in a college, in a university, and she got invited by one of her students who was Muslim, and to a wedding. I go, I don't think that's a good idea. You're not going to be happy. And sure enough, her and her friend got there, and they're passing this tray of dates around. Once they touched the tray, nobody would eat from that tray anymore. They threw the dates in the trash. They wouldn't even give them to the dog because they weren't even suitable for a dog to eat anymore in their point of view. That non-Islamic people are lower than dogs, and
Well,
of
and
course,
they also hate dogs as well and are violent towards them. So
yeah, I'm
there's
not
that.
sure about that. I love my doggy girl, but she's more than a lot of humans to me. She's brilliant, smart, kind, sweet, generous, protective, utterly
Well,
loving,
Gene,
unconditional.
I want to tell you, like, I appreciate you kind of going out on a limb to say all of this about Islam because I mean, this is something that I think me and Rob have covered quite a bit on his channel, and I think I've gotten a lot of pushback. I mean, not a lot, but a little bit here and there, like of people saying like, "Oh, it's bigoted to say this," and da 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 da. But I really don't think it is. I think it's being realistic about what's playing out, in the lower Earth timelines, and there is a raging holy war, and there is it's an aggressive political agenda. It's not actually a religion. Like it is a tribal, I talked about this last time, it's a tribal colonization. It's a tribal culture. And
Yeah,
it is to like conquer, and it is to, Islam is not the religion of peace. It is the religion of submission, and you are to submit.
yeah.
Um, y-
Not
y-
only that, but now Iran has legalized marriage for a man to marry a woman. A woman. I don't call this a woman. 9 years old. A girl. Call it what it is. It's PED. You know where I'm going. So it's legalized PED dash you know what. So that's all that is. I mean, they're not even in puberty. Give me a break. That's not a woman. And you're going to marry that young child? That's terrible. So, I mean, to me, if that's a religion that supports that kind of thing, your religion's messed up. I'm sorry.
yeah. My personal opinion is that it should be banned from the earth, and it shouldn't, I feel like it shouldn't even be allowed to exist on this earth. I feel like it should be extracted just like the Dracos, just like the reptilians, just like, any other force that is hell bent on, killing and murder and the PED and, you know, I mean, I literally have surahs that are just so violent. Surah 3, 151, we shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Surah 2, 191, and kill them. Wherever you find them, kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers. I mean, I have like a whole list of it, but um, what is the matter with you that you do not fight jihad in the cause of Allah? Quran 475. So I mean, it's just it's I'm the same as you. I went through the Quran myself. I tried to read it. I tried to absorb it from an open mind, and I did start coming across many, many things. Especially the surah that talks about cutting off people's hands and feet and things like this. Like there was so much in it that I literally had to put the book down and just like walk away. Like it's on the bottom bookshelf in my house, and I feel like I actually need to take it out of my house because it is literally, I feel like it's cursed.
Yeah. And the thing that amazed me is Obama actually slipped and said his Muslim faith. In the interview said Christian, yeah, Christian faith. And we now know that Big Mike was a man and is a man. And so if you look in the Quran, what it says about being a man with a man, married and having a kind of sort of biblical relationship, I guess you would say. I don't know exactly if that would qualify, but coitus, as they would say, I guess. I think it's a pretty aggressive crime punishment for that in the Sharia law. I'm pretty sure. So You
Yeah,
know,
I
it's
just
just,
wanted to say, like, what got me really freaked out about the whole Islamic thing was like when I saw, like, in the streets of Philadelphia, like, there was like Islamic guys with huge swords. I don't know where they got these swords from. Huge, big swords, like swinging swords, like like Conan the Barbarian in the middle of the streets. Well, they're not very strong. I can say that. I don't think these guys are very tough. But like, needless to say, they have a dangerous weapon, and they look crazy. They look like they have like a sadistic glaze in their eyes. You know what I mean? It only comes from someone who's like like
Hmm.
severely mentally ill or like psychotic or something. And then also they're chanting "Death to America" in the streets. And I said this on Twitter. I said, if you're in America, like what, like, and you're screaming "Death to America," you shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like, you have no right to be here if you're screaming "Death to America." Because I also said on Twitter, I said my grandfather was a prisoner of war in World War II, and my dad was in Vietnam, and like I have no respect for anybody who. I mean, like, I know we're ran by the cabal and all that stuff. I know that. You know what I mean? But I'm still a patriot at the end of the day. I love. So it's crazy. I didn't like that at all. Like, and also, Gene, I don't know if you knew this. I'm half Lebanese, but my dad was like Christian Lebanese. Like, and I grew up hearing stories about like the Civil War where the Muslims basically drove the Christians out in Lebanon
Hmm.
in the 80s, and and stuff like that. So
Well, and I think that's why the Crusades actually happened. I think that history, we've got the story. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things about the Crusades that's not good and connected to the Knights Templar and
yeah.
satanic ritual abuse and da 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 da. But I think there's another side of the story that a lot of people haven't heard is that the Crusades actually started in the need to actually fight off the takeover of the invaders of Islamification back in that time.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
but so I was looking up while you're speaking about in Islam homosexuality. It's generally agreed that they should be killed. The death is either stoning or setting them on fire or throwing them from a high place. It's not agreed exactly how, but it's the greatest sin in Islam. The punishment for in Islam is said that Allah says homosexuality is the gravest sin. So there it is. So it amazes me that women would be, or that homosexuals would be Islamic. I mean, it's like you want people to kill you horrifically in a
Yeah.
horrible way. So yeah, it's just it boggles my mind.
Isn't
But
it amazing how all the liberal, leftist, transgender, LGBTQ plus XYZ, LMNOP, like they're teaming up with the pro-Palestinian movements when you know dang well if we shipped all these people over there and plopped them down over there, with these types that they're not going to last 2.2 seconds.
yeah, I mean, it amazes me. It's always amazed me what people can do and say and practice. That's such a dichotomy of understanding that they don't understand the what they're really. It's like now with New York City and the new governor of New York City, and he's a communist, and then they elect him, and already things are going downhill. And this is the same thing. What, you don't study history at all? How did it look when Stalin took over, and how many millions were killed? How about they actually took out the Guinness Book of World Records that had it in the greatest genocide in human history was China when it became communist. In the first year, they killed 600
Mm.
million, and they took it out. And you can't find that copy anymore. I read that when I was in 11th grade. And I was looking up what the greatest genocide is because we're going into the Holocaust. And I go, I don't think that's it. I'm pretty sure the Holocaust does not rank at all with Stalin, or definitely not with Mao. So that's for he killed anybody that knew anybody that had ever been in the previous government or related to them or knew the people that related to them or wore glasses because that was an infirmity and they're not going to have an infirmity, and they had too many people. So, and then the starvation that ensued and the millions that died from. And so communism's a good thing. You want to vote a communist into the governor of New York? Watch what happens to you in New York. It's going to go down the tube, and the white hats are going to let that dark cat play out. They're going to let that stolen election play out until New York is one of the
Yeah.
worst pits on earth, and then the white hats will come in when the people there feel the pain of what they voted. People think, it's going to be all great, just like in with the Bolshevik Revolution. Everybody's, all these wealthy people, we can have all their stuff and disperse it evenly. That's not how it is. That's not how it plays out. It's not really communism in the way that it's written down to be, where everything's dispersed out. It goes into the hands of the few at the very, very top that run the regime. Always the way it is when you have a power grab for that. So anyway, back to
Well, it's really unfortunate with Zohran Mamdani that they're promoting like the socialism and the communism and our youth, like I don't think they teach about this stuff in school anymore. I don't think they teach about what even socialism even is. So they're hearing the Gen Zers and the Gen Xers, they're hearing socialism, free buses, free rent, da 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 da, and they just like, yeah, they're like, oh, this guy cares about us, da da da, and it's like hello, North Korea. North Korea is locked down the way that it is because of socialism, because the government came in and they said, we'll give you all this free stuff if you just give up your lands and give up your guns and give up your rights and give up your da da da. We will give you everything. We'll give you this fantasy life. And so they did it.
yeah, and
They
there's
handed it all over. And now look at North Korea.
yeah,
That's what socialism will get you.
yeah, and I had a piece I did on my news talk about I think the only senator that came over, his family got out of Cuba when Castro took over, and they came to the U.S. with $10, and he's now a senator. And he said, "What other country can you do that?" And he said, that the communism, what has happened to Cuba since then, the lifestyle of the general people and all that, is so it is so down. So I do believe that all these communist countries are going to fall with all that's going on. Trump's taking it all on, and the alliance, so it's all coming down. But
Yeah, Trump's really up against so much right now. It feels like so many things are falling apart. Like Gene, what is your kind of take like on the current state of just where we're at? I mean, it really feels so chaotic. Like you have Venezuela, you have
I'm glad you mentioned
Nigeria.
yeah, Venezuela is not what people think it is. Like you're talking, hit the boat again and killed the two men floating on a piece of wood. You're not. Yeah, if you just think that's about drugs, it's not. And if that's all you thought it's about, yeah, I see your point that that's a war crime. You're not understanding what that's about. That's about human trafficking, number one. Drugs is number two. Weapons is number three. You're talking about the chrome stuff, the achrome. You're talking about children. You're in the millions trafficked and harvested. And that's coming out of Venezuela, coming from China, around the Cape, all the drugs and the human trafficking and all of that, and the weapons and all of that. They had nuclear weapons that the Chinese stationed in Venezuela. People don't know what's really going on, going up through Colombia, up through the Central America, up into Mexico, and then flooding the U.S. with illegals to wage war and break the U.S. in a civil war, what they call the Podesta Plan. That's what Trump's cleaning up, is the Podesta Plan. That's why you have certain senators, congressmen, news people doing insurrection and telling the military to disobey orders. If you're in the military, having done 21 years, I can tell you, you disobey an order because it's illegal, you better have it in writing from the person you're disobeying, that they're ordering you to do this, have them write it down and sign it, and then you say why you're disobeying it. I've done it twice. On one submarine, I did it because what the captain wanted me to do could have sunk the submarine, and it darn near did. And I had it in writing, and it caused a fireball to go across the torpedo room. And you're talking torpedoes in that room? It blew a cabinet completely apart. 80,000 volt fireball went across the room, welded a toolbox to the top of the trim tank forever on that submarine. I said, I got proof that I was right too now. And he signed it, and I had a duplicate for me, and I had immediately my copy hid by one of my guys that worked for me. So you better make sure. And I said, you want to take this as far as you want to take it. Let's take it to the Secretary of the Navy. Let's go. So, when we get in, I'll go to request court martial when we get in, if that's what you want to do. But he wanted to keep it quiet because, of course, he would not make captain. After captain, he would not. He was a captain, but he would not make admiral or anything after that if it came to light. So he didn't want to do that. So, but not following an order because you believe it's illegal. You better be. I mean, it's making people question the orders of the President of the United States. Not your captain of your ship or your regiment or your battalion. That's the commander-in-chief of the entire military. So what that is to break the blue states and blue cities and sanctuary cities away, and they would separate and then have a civil war break out and the UN come in and use all those men that were brought in to break the U.S. into the 10 divisions they wanted it to do, to be under the UN as the part of a one world order. That was how they're going to do it. I even have the treaty that was put out in 1990 for breaking the U.S. into 10 districts. And so that has been a long time plan that's been out there I've known about.
And that still could potentially happen?
They're wanting it to happen. That's why they're talking. And now some of them are backpedaling it, because one lady said she heard military people saying they got illegal orders. She said, no, I didn't actually do that. Yeah, when Trump came out with the Insurrection Act, it showed what it says. Read it. Read what it says. Insurrection is that, you can wind up some pretty severe penalties in there. So people are saying things, and now they're backpedaling it. And so this is why they're, yes, clean up the cities, but it's why they're putting in the blue cities in D.C., Chicago, the National Guard, and all this. It's cleaning up the armies that are there. And the same thing goes with Venezuela. It's getting the nuclear weapons, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis with Soviet Union. We were literally seconds away from oblivion. There was a XO of a submarine that would not push the button to launch a tactical nuclear torpedo, and otherwise we would have had nuclear war. So we came seconds from it. And same thing is going here. You're dealing with a situation and people are not understanding. There's a person I really like to watch every day, but he keeps talking about, they're hitting the boats and this is a war crime and this. People aren't understanding. Same thing with the East Wing of the White House. And they're all upset and he should be impeached and blah, blah, blah. You don't understand what's going on. You do, Andy. You know about ley lines and you know about energy. When you break the sigils, the satanic sigils that were overlaying D.C., and you take out that wing that had a swimming pool originally under there, that they did wet works for the achrome stuff. Then they found more tunnels and more children too. And they broke those sigils. It broke the energy that was going out across the entire continent. That energy was going across of satanic sacrifice, ninth level circle sacrifices were being done in there. So now, you're cleaning up the ley lines. You're cleaning up the energy of the entire planet. Now it's going out to the entire planet. And so it's the same thing on the attack into Iran that they did on the nuclear materials there. They were one step away from having their own nukes, but they had nukes there. They had nukes that they got when Soviet Union stood down, and other countries, a lot of those nukes didn't go back to Russia. They wound up on the black market, and they had a lot of them. And so that wasn't just about that either. That was about destroying a black stone, a black rock that came from a fallen world these Khazarian Aristana originally came from the heart of their dead-hearted planet.
You sure it's not the Kaaba?
No, it's actually there. There was two of them, one from Ariana and one from Na. In trying to take the Golden Dome, which is in Alaska, it's a silicon life form. What we call AI is an imitation of it. Is a silicon-based life form that transcended and ascended to 8D and has calls itself the administrator that has been waiting. I have a decode on this on my website, but has been waiting for this time to help humanity get its freedom. And now it's helping take out dumbs like crazy. It's reaching through portals and wormholes and everything. They are losing everything now because the cabal was trying. They built dumps in Mount Hayes and in Denali and in the Nahini Valley and in Greenland to try to get into this system, and they couldn't. So one of their plans that they did was to set off three tactical nukes to hit the facility to break into it, into what this ascension, high level, what we call artificial intelligence, but it's directly incorporated and working for God. And so they were unable to, but what it did is it routed the waves around it and sent it focus to just very close to Anchorage. That's where the Black Rock was at that time. That's the other heart of Ariana, and one was not. So that shattered that one, created the second largest earthquake in human history, too. And that was because the deep state wanted to get the Golden Dome. They kept trying and trying and trying. Well, now the Alliance has it, and now it's working. It took over Palantir, and it's having Palantir using all the materials that they got from the Israeli Pentagon to blackmail the deep state. Yeah.
Wow,
So,
wow,
yep.
wow.
And so one of the things it's done is now, from if the wires I'm getting are correct, Maduro is not in Venezuela. He's been taken underground in the deep state rat line for his safety. He was getting blackmailed, and they had evidence and all kinds of things on him of all what Trump's saying, plus not just drugs and a cartel, but a cartel with children and the achrome and the whole thing. Because people, when they think drugs, they think, fentanyl, and you're not thinking the big way. You're not thinking of achrome, and you're not thinking of C-chrome. C-chrome most people don't even know. Achrome's not the top. C-chrome is, which is oxidized growth hormone made by the pituitary gland. And that takes a year of
Oh.
the same way they get achrome. It takes a
Is that
year.
why they're removing the pituitary gland and
Yes.
harvesting that in some
Yes,
places?
because it takes a year to get one drop from a child or a woman through terrifying them to death for a year. It's extremely expensive, and it's the top of the drugs. And it's what the non-terrestrials like the Draco have to use to be able to hold form now. The achrome doesn't work for them anymore, and there's not enough. Too many people are awake and getting kind and loving and compassion and understanding. There's not enough fear and anger and hate, and Trump stopping too many wars, and so there's not enough of the negative energies loose for them to hold the form anymore. And so they have to use this stuff. That's why they allowed Ike to come out with all that information on them. Because it was actually, they needed him to do that so that in the time when they start to not be able to hold form, people will go, oh, and they won't be so freaked out because Tavistock Institute, they're already preconditioned to it. So, then the other thing I wanted to, that's about Venezuela. I was early on mentioned about the transhuman agenda through the C clot shot. And so it doesn't matter. Well, it matters that you got it. It's much harder to get rid of if you got it. But the AI, nanotech, microtech that is self-assembling under 4G and 5G is shed into you. So if you're around people in heavy, like in an airplane, for example, or a restaurant, you can get just as bad as somebody who's got the clot shot directly. So there's only a few people I know that are really understanding this and understanding the level of how bad it is. So I think that's why a lot of people are going quickly. And so,
Uh, Gino,
yes,
I just want to ask you, so like as soon as you were talking about the Golden Dome, and I just want to encourage everyone watching to go and watch all of that information that you put out on that, myself included. I still need to go watch that stuff that you put out. That's on your website, right? That's
yes,
at
yeah, it is on my website on deep dives. It's the paid section. I have to have some things. I got to make a living somehow. I'm retired. My retirement and my Social Security don't make it. Not in today's world. I have to have something. It's only $7 a month, and you get a 3-day trial period. So it's the Golden Dome. It's a deep dive decode on off. I did Alaska, and I'm working on Alabama. The next states: Alabama, Arkansas, and Arizona. And the Golden Dome is mostly in Alaska. It's in Mount Hayes. There's a black pyramid inside Mount Hayes from Earth's black rock, not from a fallen world. And it's very, very powerful. And so the Golden Dome is more than just a safety, like kind of like in Men in Black 3 where they had the ArcNet. It's like that. That is already up. The aliens cannot attack the Earth. Non-terrestrials cannot attack the Earth now. That can't be done. That's already up. But it's more than that. That's what the pyramids, when they knock the Earth off axis, and I have a new decode on the trinary star system coming up very soon. It's in editing right now, and that'll be airing pretty soon to explain that. But how they knock the Earth off its axis, so it has a 23-degree and some minutes and seconds tilt, but it wobbles in 1 degree every 72 years, or 25,920 years for a complete precession through what they call the equinox. That's what creates that. That happened because they created a change in the orbit of one of the 2 star systems that orbits our sun. Nemesis, a brown dwarf, orbits our sun every 25,920 years. See how it matches up? And so when it comes through, it used to come in outside between Jupiter and Saturn, big, huge planets. It didn't create much of a problem, and go back out that way. It came in at negative 86, in other words, below the ecliptic, 86 degrees, go in behind the sun with its outer 3 most planets, Helion, Argota, and Nibiru, which is the home of the Anunnaki. And they're the ones that created the nanotech that's in the C-19 cloud shot. So then it comes back out. Well, what they did is they changed its orbit so that it goes in when it comes up through the system just behind the Earth, but when it comes out from behind the sun 4 years later, it goes down between us and the sun. It goes through the ecliptic between, so that with 3 planets with you and a star, even though it's a small brown dwarf, that's a huge gravity well. And that's going to cause, it has caused near extinction events every single time except this last time. It would have this last time, but the Alliance, Off-World Alliance, stopped it. That was the event that the Mayans talked about and all that. They actually stopped it from happening. It would have occurred again, but it didn't this time. And it's also kept the human race from ascending from 4D to 4D and 5D because it creates a misalignment of all the energy and the ley lines with the entire, our whole solar system's out of whack. Every planet's out of whack. The sun's out of whack. I mean, the angles, I have all of the angles and everything. The whole thing is tilted. The way we're orbiting, we're actually Earth is actually completely upside down to start off with in its orbit. The North Pole is actually Antarctica. So that's actually, that's actually the positive pole of the Earth, which is the North Pole in a magnet, and the Earth being a giant magnet. So, it's all of these things. And so I have all of that stuff. Yes, it's gdco.org is my website.
No, it's amazing work. I think everyone should really go support you and definitely watch that. And well, I was asking about it because as soon as you said that, I almost got this image of it kind of over Antarctica and the North Pole, and it just kind of protecting, sealing the caps, as if the Golden Dome was sealing the caps somehow. And I'd really like to get you my book when it comes out too, because I was channeling something called the equatorial crystal belt, and I was kind of seeing how this holographic crystalline frequency band that's around the equatorial plane, that's connected into all the planetary midlines that would connect to maybe that Golden Dome architecture.
Yeah, it looks just like the ArcNet in Men in Black 3. It's a communications grid for completely instantaneous communication. It can be used for, like Musk is talking about, and they're talking about there's technology to get people from one place to another almost instantly. It can be used for that. under 30 minutes anywhere with the train systems they're building underground that Musk has already been
Mm.
building, including between Alaska and Russia. That's already built. They say, well, uh,
That's why Trump and Putin have been friendly.
yeah, Kirill Dmitriev talked about, it was revealed in the Kennedy um, D class there. He was working with Khrushchev to build a tunnel underneath the Bering Strait. And now what they're saying is have an American town in Russia at one end and a Russian town in Alaska at the other end, and we'd be friends and all that because Russia's a seriously Christian country, and they fought out and beat out the cabal when the Soviet Union fell. The first thing that happened in Red Square on the edge of Red Square, Chase Manhattan Bank was thrown out of there. Get your stuff and leave, bankers. And that's the same thing with if you look at what Churchill said and what Rothschild said about Hitler. They said the worst thing he did, the sin he did, was to cut the bankers out, and they actually arrested a Rothschild. Hitler did, and they took the bank out,
Wow.
and so they kept their money from them, and they wouldn't give them their interest and borrow money from them before the war anymore. That's what pissed them off. But then with the Antarctic Treaty and the Base 211, and I'm working on that decode also, is a secret part of that treaty is to keep Base 211 separate and safe, and they wouldn't mess with it. And the NACIs would not mess with the rest of the world because they had technology at that time, the Anubis and all of those that were so far beyond what the deep state had. So the deep state, it was a win-win. The cabal was win, they wouldn't. And so part of why the Soviet Union got nuclear weapons so fast, they gave it to them. They spread out so that they would appear to their part of the contract of the Antarctic Treaty because too many countries could have nukes on them. If it was just the U.S., that's one hit you have to do. But if it's the Soviet Union and France and England and you've got all these other countries, then you got a problem because you're also pinpoint located in Antarctica, so you don't have. And so Voyager 1 also, part of the whole point of Voyager 1 was to go out and see how far the fourth and fifth Reich types had expanded into our solar system. And they were freaked. The cabal was freaked. They had stuff everywhere. Moons of Saturn, the Kuiper Belt. I mean, they were just everywhere out there, and they're like, whoa, we're in trouble. We need to get really on this stuff. And then they found out about the mind wipe, and they got able to, their scientists that were working with the NACIs, one in every single corporation on Earth, and in the U.S. it's usually two or three, usually the CEO is a NACI. And that was part of the treaty too. And so, I talked about this 6 years ago on the original platform I was on. So, now with all that's going on with the stuff from the Anunnaki, the transhuman agenda and that stuff, everybody's got their hands full because they did not even realize, they thought there was an off switch. The cabal thought there's an off switch. There is, but they didn't. What they were told is the off switch, so they don't have one. So they're being exposed to it too. So for me, from my understanding of what I've learned about her protocols of Dr. Anna Mahalcia, is you just essentially you got to get something somewhere because it's lethal, and the amount of what it does to the blood and the person is quite alarming. So these are her primary two books, Transhuman 1 and 2. In the back of Transhuman 2, she has protocols that you can find probably if you're near a big city. You don't have to go all the way out to where she is, but what you're seeing on the covers, let me explain what this is. They say that's a
And
microplastic. These are
and I just
slides.
want to say, do you feel like this is what has started this decline of like
Yes,
so many people struggling with their health and like
absolutely.
yeah.
Because the shedding, you don't have to be, you know, I got my blood looked at under a dark field microscope. It looked worse than this. It was worse. I mean, it was one big, huge. This is all clotted blood. What it does with this blue light is the electromagnetic field pulled from the blood. So the blood is now has no energy, and it's all clotting together. Mine was a huge clot with two blood cells moving. How can I be alive? And this is not microplastic. This is a polymer fiber, and these round things are building it. They use it as an antenna to upload and download information from the cloud. So the person is then hacked. And this over here is a microchip that they built. So people, if you get a Bluetooth signal detector, you can find one if you're bad coming out of you, coming out of graveyards and all of that. So that's her first book. And the second book that has the protocols, this is a huge construction zone. You can see the nanotech inside. The bigger ones are microbots. There's nanobots, they blink blue, green, and red, and then there's the nanobots, blue, green, and red, and the microbots are the white ones. And they go pew across the screen. Like, I go, what was that? It was like, oh, that's a microbot. How fast was it going? I could barely see it. It's like 55 miles an hour. That makes sense. Satanic frequency. So you can see it's polymer fibers for it to contact the cloud and communicate back and forth. I guess it's built two, so it could have one for the in and one for the out antenna. And this is what we're fighting. So,
How can people feel the difference though with what's going on with their body? In knowing that this is this, because obviously if you're just going to go to the doctor, no one's going to say
yeah, most doctors
this is going on. Like
you don't
this
look.
is so not seen.
Yeah, you go to a doctor and they don't look at your blood under a dark field microscope. They're not going to know this. Hey, you have clotting. You need blood thinners. Not going to touch it. Blood thinners aren't going to touch this. So that you say I have brain fog and I can't remember things anymore, and I'm drawing. Oh, we can get you this and that. Most Western doctors aren't going to touch this. I was having issues from the Morgellons, so I went and saw a doctor, and they said it's causing this and this and this, and I'm having this and this and this. And he said, well, we'll give you muscle relaxers for the cramping in your legs. I'm like, it didn't do anything. I was like, I even did one under my tongue. It made my tongue numb is all. It's like, it was useless. It's just like, that was a wasted trip to the doctor, They know nothing about this stuff. So as far as I know, she's probably one, if not the world expert, Dr. Anna Maria Mahalcia. She's in Washington, I think it's Yelm, but many cities have where you can get the thing like that she talks about in her book, and the protocols in the back of volume 2 is the Plaque X, the methylene blue, and the big one is the EDTA with high levels of vitamin C. You can also buy it and take it orally too, which I do now. And you can get IVs in your city. We found a place in our city, and we can go get it. And you see a doctor, and they do a full. You want a doctor that looks at your blood and knows. I mean, the doctor I went to, emergency room, because I was feeling terrible. So the doctor actually was like, oh, your blood's a little low, your iron's a little bit low, It was like, and I look at it myself, it's not a little bit low. That's not good. You're kind of understating things here, because I've been fighting Morgellons for years, and so now that, and then the brain fog, and you can't remember things, and that's getting better and better. I mean, I practice memory techniques like remembering the people on each submarine that worked for me, and the captain and that stuff. And then certain ones I can't remember. And I was striving to, and then suddenly I started remembering things. I was talking to somebody who said, were you ever live in California? Yeah, I lived in this place here. And I ripped the address. I didn't even try to remember the address that my mother lived. I lived with her for a few months out in California. I got the address. I didn't even try. I was only there with her for like 2 months. And the address came right out the top of my head when I was in 8th grade. I'm just like, wow, my memory is really improving. So if you have brain fog, you have cramping in your legs, you have you're not breathing as well as you used to, you get winded easier, maybe you have some dizziness when you get up suddenly, those kind of things, that's a good sign. not a good sign. That's a sign. That's a bad sign. But that's a sign that you have this. And go find a doctor that can do dark field microscope, or just a prick of your finger and some blood, and take a look and see what you got. And then find a place that can do the protocols near you. It's not that hard. And you can order a lot of the EDTA and all those things online and do, take it every other day. Or she recommends every day, but it's like takes a lot of minerals out of your body, so you have to be hitting the minerals hard in the daytime if you do that before you go to bed to keep up with it. So anyway,
Okay.
that's pretty much what I had to say.
Well, it's so interesting. And I just wanted to check on you, Rob. You've been kind of quiet for a little while, and if you had anything you wanted to say about what's going on with the health epidemic. I feel like it's such a combination of multiple things. It's like we have this, and then I also feel like there's this overall increasing exposure of solar radiation. I also think, again, we have the directed energy weapons of different kinds that are also triggering underlying conditions that we all have, such as like autoimmune diseases and all the other stuff that's kind of just there waiting, you know. And then we're getting exposed to so much EMF as well. So it's like you have this, what you're talking about, Gene, and then the spike protein, and then the exposure to the EMF. It's just like I just don't think our bodies can just like keep up with all of this. It feels a little overwhelming, you know? A lot of our natural and organic things that we would turn to. I mean, for me, something so simple just as like getting in my salt pool on a daily basis. I mean, even that felt like it turned toxic in the summertime because there's so much radiation, I feel like, in the water. And I'm just kind of in this like stew. It turns into this like I
The
don't know. I
sun's a
don't
lot
even.
more powerful. The sun's a lot more powerful. It's like
Yeah.
you go out in the sun now, you get burnt like instantaneously. It's like it's really powerful. I don't know what that's from. But I mean, it seems to be. You know, but also you mentioned all the stuff they're targeting people with. There's also self-assembling nanites they're finding inside targeted individuals. Like there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of horrible shit. It's uh it's kind of scary. It really is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, I mean, that's so important for us all to stick together. I mean, and to be supporting each other's on our health journey, you know. I think that's one thing me and you, Rob, have been kind of doing a little bit is um like helping each other kind of if there's support that we need once in a while to tune in with each other, like try to help each other curb bad habits, things like this. Like I don't think now's the time to be, enabling people so much. I think now's the time, like if you really love and care about people, like, really help them kind of face some of the stuff that they have going on and be like very brutally honest about it, because we see what happens when people aren't checked up on and cared about. Like, think people fall off, and it's hard to fight these battles alone. That's for sure. It's hard to do all this when you're by yourself. I mean, I'm blessed because I get to live here with, my daughter, and she helps me out so much. But if I didn't have my daughter, who would be here like helping me, during my times of trying to overcome the things I've had to overcome. So yeah, and I can only imagine there's so many people out there and many watching even now that don't have somebody there to help them with these things we're talking about, So it's yeah. I feel like the next 5 years, we have to find a way to really turn this around. We have to find a way to overcome all of this like negative energy and this artificial energy and these, toxic free radicals and poisons and all of the eugenics and depopulation agendas. Like, what is going on? Like, I mean, this is not sustainable. I mean, this is going to turn into it's going to turn into ride the Rigel system, where it's just an autonomous robot running the top of the face of the earth. Organic human, how long is organic human going to be able to hold out under these conditions? I mean, this might be a show that we think about doing at some point. Like, let's try to like remote view into the future here. Um, what is the, because it feels like a lot of people are not focusing on the right things. Um, just an example, I had the EMF guy come on my channel when I was thinking about doing my health and healing event, and he was just talking about how, and I told you this, Rob, the other night, we have so much more radiation exposure. He's talking about how much more detrimental it is coming down from these satellites that are orbiting around us. That it's like way more than we're even getting from our cell phones. And it's like I can feel it in my body. I can feel how harmful that is. And
Yeah.
you know,
What
now
do
we're
you
going to
do
have
though?
the weaponized Golden Dome over us, or that's already up over us. Is this contributing to the health crisis and the decline of people's health so quickly and so rapidly?
No,
What do they just
actually,
want to up and lose 50% of the population?
the Golden Dome will actually help stop all this. And you're not going to recognize the world in 5 years from now because the alliance, nothing can stop what they're doing. Nothing can stop what's coming. There's no way. They're taking it all down. The deep state is gone, is falling. It's not long for the world, and it's all coming down. The financial system, the fake financial fiat garbage system they built, where the elites, the upper 0.0001% have an amount of gold and wealth that people can't even. I've seen the documents. Maybe I can pull them up on one of your shows. We do, but I mean, you're talking like different banks and different families where I see the number that they have in Swiss bank accounts of the amount of gold, and it's like 90 zeros behind it. I'm
Wow.
like,
Wow.
what? What? I can count high billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, sextillion, septillion, octillion, nonillion, decillion. I mean, undecillion, dodecillion. I can put, but what is 90 zeros? 9 times 10 to the 90th power? It's like, how, that's a amount of wealth. Now you distribute that. That's taken from the people of the world for thousands and millions of years. Now distribute that to the earth. Get a financial system and where people get what they work for fairly and really what they really put into it, they get out instead of being a debt slave and a wage slave. Working 2, 3 jobs to make ends meet. Having to have a website to be able to support yourself. You just give it away. I'll give you all the information you want. When I can get it put together, and people say, people go. You go to the store and people. It'll get to the point within probably a decade or two where people go into the store and they'll just say, "Hey, welcome to whatever store. What can we find for you? Help you find." And there's no tellers. You don't pay for nothing because everybody has so much wealth. When it's equalized, pretty soon wealth is meaningless. And, it's just what is valued now is uniqueness. So what do people do? Well, you're going to have robots, as Elon's making a million of them, that do all the regular jobs. What they can't do is do art, do sculpture, teach children values and morals, because that needs to come human to human.
Hmm.
Raise animals and these things. And people will be allowed to live off the net if they want and off the grid if they want. And you won't have this radiation because there are technologies like the Golden Dome that don't use 5G, 6G, any G. They're using scalar in a way such that you have instantaneous communication anywhere. There's no delay time like you see the news reporters and they wait for a minute or two because they delay in the signal. There's no delay time. It doesn't even matter if you're in Andromeda or the farthest galaxy from here. There's no delay time at all. They're not, the non-terrestrials aren't traveling 90 billion light years and then having no communication all those years and all that. No, it's instantaneous travel and instantaneous communication and all that. It's not understanding the technologies that the U.S. has. They already said they can get everything you've seen in Star Trek. They can send ET home. Everything you see in Star Trek, they have already done it. And They can bend space and time. They did it with MH370. Bam, it was in Diego Garcia, taken into the dome there. Boom, instantly moved. 1,000 some miles, or so, eight hundreds of miles. Let's say that. So there's all of this is going away. All of this garbage, the slavery system, fiat system, drug system, you know, drugs that have so many side effects, it's off the chart. I listen to that. Why would you put that stuff in your body? The side effects include death. It's like, that's what? Suicide. You will want to kill yourself. Like, wow, really? So we're going to have the med beds are real. Trump's already posted twice. Those will be coming out. They're already where they're supposed to be. The cabal is doing everything. Ukraine is coming to an end very soon, one way or another. The Russians are gaining ground so fast. The list of cities and towns they've taken this month is like 90 in November. It's like, I mean, they've taken Petrovsk, they've taken Milorad, it's just, you can't even hardly keep up with the speed they're going now. And so Waitkov is in Russia meeting Putin now and talking, and if they will agree to the Istanbul Plus 2024, the U.S., and if Zelensky doesn't, he's already been given notice. You need to leave. That's what the golden toilet, money laundering scam is about. $150 million is going to take him down. It's like he's scammed billions. Hundreds of billions have gone to Ukraine. You really think that went to the front and to support their government only? There's stacks of people with stacks of cash in their home. The $100 bill still in the wrapper. Kansas Federal Reserve Bank, you can see it on the wrappers. It's like golden toilets and all this stuff. And I think it was JFK Jr. No, not JFK Jr. Sorry, Donald Trump Jr. was saying he was in I think somewhere like southern France or some fancy place, and he was driving half the cars had Ukrainian license plates. You're talking high-end Italian supercars, and they all had Ukrainian license plates because they made a fortune off this thing. And then the money goes around. Like now Norway is talking about building weapons, drones for them in Norway. Yeah, they're trying to figure out how the money they sent there comes back to Norway. So that's how it's a washing machine. Just wash it the money and by the billions. So now, his top advisor is gone for that scandal, and he's next. He's going down, and then they'll have elections, and then you'll have an elected government that can sign a treaty. You can't sign a treaty because he's illegal. Putin said it over and over and over. Waiting to come to the table, you need a legal doubt. You need to have elections so we have somebody who can sign the treaty because it's not legal. And they can never be in NATO. They should never be in EU either. And it's not, and the Europeans, they're believing their rhetoric, their propaganda that Russia's going to go into Europe, and they're saying preemptive strikes and stuff now. Yeah, that's what they want to happen. But do you really? I mean, they can't even field a military. Their economies are crashing across Europe. Germany has been deindustrialized. Most of the big car plants and other factories that are hundreds of years old are gone. All across France too, and they've shot themselves in the foot, and they have such an immigration problem. Look at the U.S. and you think it's bad. Oh my goodness, it is horrific in Europe, and the U.K. It's worse. It's worse. Yeah, it's like so. All that like you look at Hungary and Orban and Poland, and where they don't allow it, and it's safe.
Right. They're doing a Christian NATO there now, actually, because you said earlier Russia's a predominantly Christian country, and I saw something the other day that Hungary and Poland are putting together a Christian NATO, and I think Russia is asking to join. So they're trying to, create something off of that
Yeah, I heard
there,
about
which would
that.
be interesting. Which would be interesting.
Absolutely, I heard about that. It's going to be awesome.
Well, Jean, it's been such a pleasure. Oh my gosh, I have seriously needed to catch up with you and Rob as well. I feel like this is such an awesome team here, and I just it feels really good for you to confirm a lot of the things I think that me and Rob have been talking about recently, with Islam all the way to, you know, everything with the Golden Dome, just everything we covered tonight. It's been just so
In regards to
expansive.
Islam, yeah, I want to say in regards to Islam, there are good people in there. I'm not saying all people who are Islamic are bad. I'm saying the religion itself and Shahir Allah and what it get into what it says and what it says to do to the rest of the people that aren't that religion. There are
Yeah.
good people. I know Muslim and Islamic people, and there are really good people, neighbors that
But Tommy Robinson said it pretty well the other day. He said, I was watching something with Tommy Robinson and he grabs a little cup and he says, okay, he's like, I'm gonna put like 100 marbles in this can. He's like, or we'll just say 100 candies, right? And you're gonna give this to your daughter, and you're gonna say, two of the candies in here, if you eat them, they're gonna kill you, right? Would you still give this to your daughter to reach in there and and let her take the risk? I feel like that's kind of, and I'm like, wow, you wouldn't. You would completely take this away, and you would be like, don't eat that at all, because any risk of that killing you is not going to be a good thing, right? I feel like that's the analogy of Islam. You have 100 in there that are good people, but two of them are jihadists that are hell bent on, you know, killing all of the infidels. And, you can't we can't live like that anymore.
yeah,
We
and
can't live like holding the basket open and just, it's getting to the point, it's too
yeah,
detrimental.
yeah. Not only that, but the Constitution, there's separation of church and state, and they want to impose Sharia law in the countries. In the U.S., they want to impose it in the states. And so the new lady that's running for Texas is saying, I'm going to make the worst place in the world to be Texas.
Are we talking about Valentina Gomez?
Yes,
Oh my gosh, I love her.
yes.
I
And
literally love her.
we'll make Texas the worst place for her. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
So
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
go ahead, Andy.
Rob, do you have anything you want to bring in?
This was great. This was good. This was a good show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
what we don't normally do, what I'd like to do is first start with Rob and say, Rob, where can people find you?
Oh, thanks. Typical Skeptic podcast on YouTube. It's at Truth Seeker 5197. Then I'm on Rumble at Typical Skeptic Podcast, and then I'm on every audio platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that stuff. And it's just Typical Skeptic Podcast. And thank you. Yeah.
And Indy, how
yeah.
about you? Where do people find you?
Yeah. And I just want to say too that for everyone watching that just loves and supports Rob at Typical Skeptic, to just, I think be there for you as much as possible right now. Like you said, coming in, you feel like all of this is kind of taking a toll on you. And I think we can kind of see like in your spirits tonight that it does kind of have you feeling a little bit down, and you aren't normally like that. And so,
Well, my friends, my other friends dying too. Fred Saluga, he's a little bit older, but I mean, he's a really nice guy. He's a part of my UFO group. He's in a coma right now. I just got a text during the show that said he's probably gonna die, and he's part of my Pittsburgh UFO group. So it's like, that's somewhere out
yeah,
there.
it's just
But it's
like
like
one thing after the
Gene said,
next.
Gene had same thing. He said multiple people he knew died too. So it's like it seems to be what's happening now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
We're gonna probably need to put together some prayer, just get some healing together and just try to like really generate some positive energy and some supportive healing energy for just our whole community. And yeah, I think we should set something like that up soon for everyone. I think that would be a really good idea.
Yeah,
Uh,
our
yeah,
prayer is amazing.
yeah. The
So,
power of prayer, the power of positive thoughts.
yeah. So, Indy, where do people find you?
You can find me at my YouTube channel, Indigo Angel. You can also find me at my website, indigoangel222.com. and also my education platform, learn.indigoangel222.com. And I have multiple courses on there regarding grid work and implant and seal removal and everything from like healing the womb to a starseed expansion course. So yeah, there's a lot on there for one to explore if they were activated by anything that we talked about tonight, particularly grid work. That's kind of my specialty. I actually have three courses there for grid work. So um yeah, and also I have my book coming out soon, should be before the end of the year.
What's it
And
going to be called?
The Guardian Alliance Gridwork and New Earth Prophecy.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And
And
then,
also we wanted to take some moments as well from this video and take it over to Patreon. So we're gonna clip the most exclusive moments of this show tonight, and you can find it over on Patreon at patreon.com/Indigo Angel, or you can join Rob's Patreon as well if you're watching from the Typical Skeptic side, and you can go to patreon.com/Typical Skeptic, and we will yeah, kind of get some of the juicy moments, and we're just gonna send that out to all of our supporters on Patreon who have memberships with us because we value you guys so much, and just thank you for supporting and subscribing to our Patrons.
thank you, Indy. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
This
and
was awesome.
then for me, this is my website. There's a surface area where things are free, and there's a lot of materials in there. You can look at what's in here in the deep dives, which is the paid section. It's $7 a month. But people, when they look at this, they don't think there's a lot in here. So, for example, about every month towards the end, I usually have a Q&A. There's 38 there. Here in we go down to Alien Agenda. There's 4 in that series. The DUMBs are 6. So if you click on that, then you can see it pull up the 6 items in there. And you can see, like I said, there's the Golden Dome, Part 2, and the Alaska Decode. And so that's my website, genedecode.org. And my Rumble is Real Gene Decode on Rumble. So this is a lot of people pirated. I'm also Real Gene Decode on Truth Social and on Telegram. So
Awesome. That's so great. Are you on Facebook as well?
no, I'm not on Facebook. That's a fake Gene Decode. I'm not on
Okay.
X. Those are fake Gene Decode. I'm not yet on YouTube. We're needing to, because my trademark, my picture of my dog trademark thing that you see, if you notice, it's registered. It's not trademark. It's a registered trademark. That's a whole nother ball of wax. So we're going to clean those out so I can set up a YouTube under Gene Decode, because I am the original Gene Decode. That I didn't give myself that name. The world gave me that name. So
I love
thank
it.
you.
You are the original, and we love you so much, Jean. Thank you for coming
Thank
on and doing
you.
this show with us. We appreciate you so, so much. And until the next show.
All right, thanks,
Absolutely.
guys. Take care,
All right.
everyone.